Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. I'm Mark Martin. The United Nations Command hosted a group of distinguished visitors at the Joint Security Area's Peace House on the demilitarized zone for a special ceremony. The ceremony celebrated the 66th anniversary of the signing of the Armistice Agreement. It featured a tribute to each country that supported the Republic of Korea during the Korean War, recognizing their contributions and their sacrifices.
It's extremely important to understand what the difference between an armistice and a peace agreement is. And of course, a peace agreement is signed by political leaders, and it would supplant the armistice, which is a formalized ceasefire signed by military commanders.
66 years ago today, an armistice agreement that had taken 2 years to negotiate finally came into effect. To the servicemen and women from the UN sending states, this was wonderful news. It meant not only the end to fighting and to the loss of life and limb, but also the welcome repatriation of our prisoners of war and the prospect of an early return to distant homes and families.
While it was very significant for the soldiers that the firing had stopped, the armistice was not the end. It was never conceived as the end. It was the beginning of the next step to eventually get to something more permanent.
Indeed, it is fair to say that many did not fully understand the reasons for fighting in defense of the Republic of Korea, even when they departed the peninsula. But fight they did, and in conditions which were more akin to the First World War than the Second. They lost comrades, suffered life-changing injuries, and carried the mental scars for the rest of their lives. For many of them, a true understanding of what they had achieved and why was only fully realised decades after the armistice was signed. Sight of what the Republic of Korea has become today, a respected member of the international community, robustly democratic, and the 11th largest economy in the world, fully justifies in their minds their effort and sacrifice 70 years ago.
In other news, Marines in California have teamed up with Naval Academy students for a special training course. The Professional Training of Midshipmen program provides them the field perspective of infantry Marines and instills interest in future Marine Corps officers.
This is their opportunity to have a better understanding of the Marine Corps, and hopefully next year when they come to that decision point, they do join the Marine Corps because of this week. Approachment stands for Professional Training of Midshipmen. So today we're at Range 408 Alpha. We're conducting a familiarization fire with Victor 2.5. This is an opportunity for the infantry battalion to provide a demonstration on mortars, rockets, cruiser weapons, and rifles, and then give the midshipmen the opportunity to actually shoot those weapon systems, and then actually understand the purpose of the infantry community and what kind of assets that the infantry community has. So the purpose of Approachment is a recruiting tool for the midshipmen at the Naval Academy. So they go through Surface Warfare Week, Submarine Week, Aviation Week, and Marine Corps Week. Our job is to train the midshipmen, give them a taste of what each community is like, what surface warfare is like, submarines, aviation, and the Marine Corps. So for the Marine Corps specifically, our job is to give them a taste of all the different assets in the Marine Corps, specifically in the GCE. I hope they do learn that the Marine Corps is not easy. And if they really do want the Marine Corps, they have to understand that it's going to be a big challenge, but it'll be worthwhile for their lives.
U.S. Navy corpsmen took training out of the hospital and into the jungle with their annual medicine course. During the training, they track, treat, and evacuate patients, all while navigating the terrain at the Jungle Warfare Training Center in Japan. It's hot, dirty, and exhausting.
We're going to test them to their limits mentally and physically. And just overall, they're going to be a better corpsman when they leave here.
Jungle is just super hot, humid, gross, sweaty. A lot of heavy lifting around everywhere you go, so make sure you're ready for that.
This is really difficult terrain, and you have to know how to deal with the jungle or it will bite you back.
You're learning different techniques like how to sustain yourself and how to sustain the patient as you battle the jungle, really.
You know, you might feel like, oh, no, this sucks, you know, I don't like this, but it still has a purpose. You know, just taking a step back and kind of realizing that kind of helps.
All right. You guys done there, you guys are gonna have to shoulder him, okay?
Ooh, it's good, it's real. It's tough.
Oh yeah, training is definitely hard. We've all done it, and we all kind of sat down and said, yeah, this is gonna be really, really hard. But it's there for a reason.
We're starting out with basic infantry skills that would correlate with medical skills. And then adding all that together through an exercise where we have mass casualties, prolonged field care, up to 72 hours at some points.
It really is go, 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 and it's stressful, and we are at that point testing them.
As corpsmen, we're going to go where the Marines go. Whether that's the jungle, the desert, we're going to be there with them. So just because we're not in the infantry or Marines, we still need to learn how to track. We still need to learn how to land nav because we might be that person that needs to do it.
They can look to you and know that you've been through this before and know that, you know, if I need you to get on the comms or get on the weapon or rappel, that you're going to be capable of doing that. And I don't have to do a hip pocket training, if you will, right here in the spot while we're under fire.
You really need to be careful about what moves you take, what you use, what you do. Every movement counts.
Straight legs, lean back into that seat too. Step down. Knock them out.
There's some really dangerous points where you can really get hurt, but at the same time, it was honestly worth it because it puts everything into perspective for me. Just getting a patient out of the jungle is extremely difficult.
It all plays back into, you know, your medical training at the end of the day.
Because everybody can regurgitate what's on a test. We want to see, can they take what we've taught them, apply it to the situation without prompting? That's the ultimate goal. We really took a step back and said that the jungle has to be the emphasis. Once we found that really adapting to our surrounding just the most that we possibly could, we really started to understand what jungle medicine actually is.
For the last 20 years, our focus has been primarily on desert warfare. So that's where everything has shifted over the last 2 decades. So now is the great time to start building up our foundation for that new set of corporate knowledge, to take everything in the history and incorporate that into our our modern medicine, our modern techniques and equipment, to kind of find that mesh between the two and see where that takes us in the next 20 years.
So with the future of the military and the future of medicine in general, we need to remember that it's not always going to be a desert. And even in countries that have deserts, there are also areas of subtropical rainforests.
So we can't just focus on 2 hours we're going to have a medevac. We may have to sit on a patient for a day or two, maybe 3. And so it's very vital, especially in an atmosphere like this and the terrain. You just never know when and where you can get something.
After the break, more from the Marines and how they continue to protect our country and fight for our freedom.
Roman soldiers destroy the Second Temple of Jerusalem. Centuries of eyewitnesses say the temple treasures survived. But where are they?
They went from Jerusalem to Rome, Rome to Carthage, Carthage to Byzantium.
Historians are silent about what happened to it next.
CBN Documentaries presents the worldwide release of Treasures of the Second Temple.
So does it still exist today?
A story of mystery.
Where is it?
Calamity.
Most of the victims were butchered.
And destiny.
The possibility to dig is impossible.
Get your copy of Treasures of the Second Temple. Yours for a gift of any amount to CBN Documentaries.
Welcome back. Underway in the Philippine Sea, the Marine Corps is working to provide a flexible and lethal force ready to perform a wide range of military operations. They participated recently in a tactical air control party exercise aboard the USS Wasp.
As a reconnaissance Marine, we are typically the initial eyes and initial ears that are on the ground through reconnaissance surveillance. We're able to provide terminal guidance operations, and with terminal guidance operations, we're able to better shape the battlefield by utilizing these IDF assets or close air support assets, being the aircraft in the sky. My name is Staff Sergeant Paul Machakal. I'm part of the Amphibious Recon Platoon. I am the Special Equipment NCO in Platoon JTAC. So in this last week aboard the USS Wasp, I myself and my JTACs, along with the BLT JTACs, have been conducting CAS, which is close air support. What this incorporates is the integration of indirect fires, ample surface fires, and rotary wing and fixed wing assets conducting air missions in close proximity to troops. What this can do for the commander, whether it's the BLT commander or the MU commander himself, is this can help shape the battle space in a way that's favorable for himself and safer for troops on the deck.
The U.S. Marines are working to ensure combat readiness. The team's support of naval operations helps maritime stability and security in the central region, connecting the Mediterranean, Pacific, and Indian Oceans.
My name is Sergeant Joe Hertz. I'm an automotive maintenance technician.
So basically what we do on a daily basis is a bumper-to-bumper detailed inspection on all of our Marine Corps vehicles.
Every single one of those pieces of gear, we make sure that they're all ready to go and like mission capable. That's the number one thing, is keeping everything able to leave this ship and go and perform in any country, anywhere, at any given time.
I work for a maintenance section that's to support the radio operators. It's my job to take those radios apart and find piece by piece what's broken on the inside and outside.
We stay at 100% readiness at all times, if possible. Every now and then there'll be some corrective maintenance stuff, which is the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. So far we haven't had too much because we took pretty good care of the trucks before deployment. Anything corrective maintenance wise, if something does go wrong and we need to fix it, we can fix it. The hours that we work and the time that we put into all these vehicles in pre-deployment made a huge, huge difference now, because we're on month 3 or 4 of the deployment and we really haven't had too many issues with these trucks.
So equipment readiness is always important, but especially when we're out here deployed with the 11th MU and Boxer ARG, we need our equipment to be ready at all times, no matter what mission comes about, whether it's humanitarian aid, disaster relief, or combat. We need our equipment ready to go at a moment's notice. So knowing that those guys are down there doing their maintenance, ensuring the vehicles are ready to go, gives me and the commander's confidence that we'll be able to execute when we're called upon.
Coming up, how a sporting competition for wounded veterans is pushing them to the limit and making sure their military skills don't go to waste.
CBN News, no filter, 24/7 news. Through the lens of faith, from natural disasters to breaking news in the Holy Land. We have access to stars in entertainment and to top newsmakers. We are fighting for your freedoms. CBN News, because truth matters. Become a CBN News member today.
You're watching On the Home Front. Nearly 300 athletes from the U.S. military, UK Armed Forces, Australian Defence Forces, Canadian Armed Forces of the Netherlands, and the Danish Armed Forces competed in a wide variety of activities in the 2019 Warrior Games. The sporting competition is for wounded, ill, and injured service members and veterans.
Life starts when you get outside that comfort zone. Try. Just get outside your comfort zone. Try something different, because when you're going to get out here, it's not going to be what you expect. So you're going to get out here and you're going to build like camaraderie like you never imagined. You're going to build friendships that are going to last forever, and you're going to find yourself becoming kind of like we are as NCOs in the Army. You're going to become that coach, that mentor, even in sports that you may not have done before, but you just pick up naturally. You're going to be able to share those techniques with other athletes, and that's going to help them.
There's a steal by the Marine Corps. There's a breakaway.
The Warrior Games mean a lot to me. I'd be kind of disappointed if they took it away, because I feel like this is a good venue for, soldiers with disabilities to get out and, show that just because you have this disability or that one, it doesn't stop you from being a person or an athlete. You can still get out and, do these adaptive sports, because your disabilities don't define you.
This year, I'm just here to have fun, and I know I'll do well just because I trained hard, so I can only do as well as I trained. The word disabled, I don't like that word, because it basically means not able. And the thing I point out is that we're quite able to doing stuff. A lot of it, just requires some sort of adaptive equipment or some sort of a different way of doing things. It's a way of proving, hey, with these different ways of doing things, I can still do what everyone else is doing.
When I first competed, I was scared too, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'll be able to do regular sports. I don't want to do anything adaptive. But I don't know. They never know what they're going to get themselves into or how far they can go with competing in adaptive sports.
I'm a big follower of the Reverend E. Eric Thomas, and he has a quote that says, if you want something as bad as you want to breathe, you'll find a way to make it happen. And when you want something that bad, you'll find a way, you'll make it happen.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break. First Lieutenant Josh Edelman uses his love of Latin culture to unite the Charleston community through salsa dancing. Edelman's passion, outreach, and leadership in the community have made him an outstanding airman. Here's his story.
1, 2, 3,
and 5, 6, 7.
If you can learn to march in basic training, you can learn the basic steps of salsa. I have been in the Air Force since 2013 when I was accepted into the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. I am an aircraft maintenance officer. Currently, my duty title is the Fabrication Flight Commander of the 437th Maintenance Squadron. As a Fabrication Flight Commander, I oversee and supervise non-destructive inspection, aircraft structural maintenance, and metals technology. I'm also a language officer for Spanish, and that is my big passion. When I was at the Air Force Academy, I went TDY to Panama for a language course, and when we were in Panama, our group did a salsa class. And before we did the salsa class, we were all like, oh, this is gonna be weird, like I've never done this before. And once I did the salsa class, I fell in love with it. We went out that night, we went to an event where we all danced salsa. I really enjoyed it, so when I came back stateside, I took more classes, and it's been a great experience so far because everywhere you go, there's salsa dancing. I came to Charleston and noticed that the dance scene was very small and inconsistent. There weren't that many people out and about dancing. I went online and looked for any sort of website or group. I did not see much, so I started a Facebook group and I invited all the people who I knew from Charleston that were interested in dancing. In this group, I started posting weekly events and organizing events with different coordinators around town and different promoters. I had a summary every week that I posted so people could know what is available, where to go for salsa dancing, and where to take classes. What I love about salsa is it brings a lot of different people together. It's a very active activity, and you get to meet a lot of cool people. Every song you switch partners, and it's very respectful. So no matter if you're married, boyfriend, girlfriend, we have a great time with all different people. The community, besides just dancing, is very close. We call it a family, a salsa family, because not only do we dance, but we get to interact and socialize in between dances and after the socials as well. From doing that, you get to meet a lot of different people from the community, from military members to doctors to nurses to teachers. There's all different people, all different ages. I've been able to take what I've learned from the community so I can understand other people's passions and bring people together. That's been the big aspect, is knowing how to bring people together regardless of their differences and regardless where they come from.
That's all for today, but you can find more of our exclusive news coverage at cbnnews.com. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.